Think of Frankenstein's monster, and a specific image comes to mind: a flat, square head, pale green skin, metal bolts in a thick neck. You probably picture a chaotic laboratory and a massive lightning strike bringing the creature to life. That iconic reanimation scene was entirely invented by Hollywood in 1931. It doesn't appear anywhere in the original text. And then there is the most common misconception of all. The creature's name is not Frankenstein. The creator is Victor Frankenstein. The being he brings to life is left completely unnamed. 2 centuries of cinematic adaptations have obscured a profound, terrifying masterpiece written by a traumatized teenager. To find the actual truth of the story, we have to look at its nested narrative, a structure where stories are layered within other stories, like Russian nesting dolls. This image shows Captain Robert Walton, the outermost narrator of this nested epistolary story, a tale told through a series of letters. He is an ambitious explorer who encounters a freezing, exhausted Victor Frankenstein while leading an expedition across the Arctic wasteland. Victor's fictional icy pursuit maps directly to a real-world climate catastrophe. In 1815, the Mount Tambora volcano erupted, blanketing the globe in an atmospheric ash cloud that caused freezing, dark, stormy weather throughout the following year. This engraving shows the Villa Diodati near Lake Geneva. The extreme weather of 1816, known as the Year Without a Summer, trapped an 18-year-old Mary Shelley indoors here, alongside her lover Percy Shelley and the poet Lord Byron. To pass the dreary days, Byron proposed a ghost story contest. After struggling for days to find an idea, Mary experienced a vivid, waking dream of a pale student of unhallowed arts kneeling beside the thing he had put together. The bleak, unforgiving landscapes found throughout her novel reflect this environment. The freezing rain and Arctic ice are direct manifestations of a global environmental catastrophe, setting a harsh psychological tone for the entire book. Moving one layer deeper into the narrative, we meet Victor Frankenstein himself. He is a young scientist who buries his grief over his mother's death in a morbid obsession with anatomy, relying on the illicit 19th century trade of grave robbing to supply his dissecting rooms. This diagram illustrates galvanism, a major scientific phenomenon of the era, focused on studying how electricity affects animal and human bodies. Scientists of the time, like Giovanni Aldini, conducted highly publicized experiments using mechanical cranks and batteries in genuine attempts to reanimate human corpses. These demonstrations provoked extreme public anxiety. People debated the moral responsibility of society, as the rapid advancements of the Industrial Revolution blurred the ethical lines between medical science and playing God. This illustration captures the exact moment Victor's idealized ambition shatters. He wants to be a godlike creator, but upon seeing the grotesque reality of the reanimated tissue, he is repulsed and flees in terror. For an audience in 1818, the horror did not come from supernatural magic. It came from the terrifyingly plausible consequences of unchecked scientific ambition, making this the first true science fiction novel. Strip away the cinematic trope of a grunting, lumbering monster, and we reach the deepest layer of the story, the creature's own perspective. He is hyper-intelligent, articulate, and teaches himself to read complex texts like Milton's 17th century epic poem, Paradise Lost. The creature is not inherently evil. He is desperate for love and connection. Yet everywhere he turns, he faces brutal, violent rejection from human society based entirely on his physical appearance. This profound sense of abandonment mirrors Mary Shelley's own life. Raised without a mother, who died days after Mary's birth, and alienated by her father, she understood what it meant to be an outsider longing for acceptance. But the true catalyst for the creature's pain is far more devastating. Just prior to writing the novel, Mary suffered the traumatic loss of her first child, a daughter who died only 2 weeks after birth. Shortly after the loss, she wrote a haunting entry in her journal. "Dream that my little baby came to life again, that it had only been cold and we rubbed it by the fire and it lived." The creature represents the ultimate abandoned child, while Victor represents the ultimate negligent parent. Mary Shelley translated her profound maternal grief into a literary masterpiece. Zooming back out from this tragic dynamic, we return to the outermost layer of the narrative, Captain Walton, sitting on his icebound ship, listening to the end of the tale. Walton internalizes the warning. Rather than pushing forward recklessly into the freezing Arctic, he chooses to abandon his dangerous expedition, turning his ship around to save the lives of his crew. He acts as our surrogate. He actively learns from Victor's failure to balance ambition with moral responsibility. Frankenstein endures because it is a mirror reflecting society's failure of empathy. It leaves us with the unsettling realization that true monsters are not built in laboratories. They are forged by our own indifference.